It takes a very special kind of person to sort of engage in the chaos that Saturday Night Live provides you.
Since 1975, Saturday Night Live has established itself as a comedic institution in America, becoming a launchpad for the careers of some of the most iconic comedians in TV and film history. From sketches that have captivated pop culture,
all right, welcome to Wayne's World,
to memorable characters who are household names, or launching countless catchphrases.
Sweater weather. Sweater weather. Sweater weather. Oh, God, I would finally sweater weather.
A crucial part of the visual DNA of the show, and sometimes even the punchline of the joke itself, are the costumes.
I've been here over 30 years. I started as a PA. My very, very first cast was Jan Hooks and Phil Hartman and Dana. Any given show, we have anywhere from 120 costumes to 200 costumes. One of the great things about working on Saturday Night Live is actually the variety of costumes that we have to do each week. Some will be contemporary, some will be period, some will be science fiction, some will be a 3D animated drone costume, or some will be an iceberg. That variety is also the thing that I think keeps bringing people back.
When I'm in my enclosure, tripping over stuff, biting my trainer's knee, I am at work.
There is a structure to the week. Generally on Monday is a meeting with the host. Tuesday is we shoot promos.
It's the last show before the season finale.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just super curious to see how the whole thing's gonna end, you know?
What do you mean?
Who's gonna die?
Wednesday evening, we read the whole show, and we read about 40 sketches. We go into meetings with the writers and the actors, and they start giving us ideas of what they think each character might look like. Thursdays, rehearsals start, and the music starts, and everything kind of starts. And while all of that is happening, the writers are rewriting and coming up with different ideas. A lot of people say that I have learned the art of detachment by working here and committing 1,000% to something, but also understanding that any given moment things could change. One of the ways in which we do magic here happened a few weeks ago. Marcella was doing a Benson Boone sketch. This is the one that we had made and bought and all that sort of stuff, but didn't arrive because of FedEx. We were waiting, and we didn't know any of this until 3 o'clock on Saturday. And so this we had to recreate, we had to create in 2.5 hours. We had 4 pairs of silver space pants. And so used the pants, cut the pants apart, made sleeves.
These beautiful things that I've got, please!
This past week, what happened, particularly in the cold opening, we were doing the temple scene with the gold coins.
What is this? What transpires in this holy place?
Friday morning, that was going to be Jesus at the cross. We were doing all of that, and we were doing Roman soldiers. And then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we got the call that they were changing the whole concept of the piece, and it was going to be the temple and Jesus and all of the merchants and that sort of stuff. And you just have to learn how to roll with it.
I will rid this place of all its money. Remind you of anyone?
Some of the sketches that the writers write are easy to sort of go, oh, political. I say political is easy. Actually, politics is one of the harder things we have to do, mainly because male politicians don't buy a new tie every week. So the tie that they're wearing for the event that we may be recreating doesn't necessarily come from Nordstrom's or Saks. It came from their closet 5 years ago. So we have this thing called the Cricut, which actually can take a piece of fabric and then we can scan the image of the tie into this thing, and out pops the pattern. Cut out the pattern and then lay the pattern on top of an existing tie to create the new pattern to make it look exactly like that. Our job is to kind of get as close to it as possible. You know, the time Kamala Harris was here, you know, we got the information from her team that it was going to be this specific black suit. We had originally been told she was wearing the Dior, so we went out on Saturday morning and got the Dior, and then turns out that she actually was wearing the Gabriella Hearst suit. We had this version of the Gabriella Hearst, and you can see that each one of these metal pieces are screws. So we had 40 minutes to switch. My team went into overdrive and they went and undid every one of these. You can see like they started to do it here. And then ultimately this was the suit she wore. You can kind of see where the original things were, but you couldn't see that on camera. Kamala was looking in the mirror, so you had to have the mirror image of that thing. I was there sort of making sure that the pin was in the exact same place that her pin was and all that sort of stuff in it, and it was a very stressful situation, that one was.
As Saturday Night Live has grown in scale over 50 seasons, so is the complexity of the costumes and the technology Tom's team can use to achieve the impossible in 3 days, week after week.
We work a lot with our makeup team, and Louis makes these amazing prosthetics. And we used to have to do them with foam. Just the difference of feeling and getting the weight of a body out of silicone is something completely different than getting the weight out of something out of foam. Right here is the Trump stomach. It probably weighs 25 pounds. So it's, you put that on and it's real. The other time when I really realized how this technology with the silicone stomachs and the silicone breasts and all could help were twofold. Were one, when Jake Gyllenhaal was on
your left, rider inbound.
And he wanted a little paunch. Louis made this amazing paunch. And so he could wear his bike shorts right under it. And then when Ariana Grande was on, she was doing Jennifer Coolidge.
Wow, you look great, Jennifer Coolidge.
And so we needed Jennifer Coolidge breasts on her. And part of the amazing thing, and going back to my team and everything, we developed these things and Louis does these things. And then we had to figure out how to make all of these changes happen within 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We work with dressers here, and they're all Broadway dressers, and they know how to make these quick changes in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It takes a very special kind of person to sort of engage in the chaos that this place provides you. Dress rehearsal happens, and as you know, we have about an hour to go from all of the notes which we have been given and change things. And sometimes there are little changes, and sometimes they're bigger concept changes, but we have to know how to implement them very quickly. Now for the live show, I start at my desk in my office, but I stand sort of in the hallway where everyone has their quick change booths and where all the hair and makeup is set up. We call it Main Street. There's nothing in Main Street right now. By the time you get to Saturday, there's hair and makeup, wigs, people, all of these become quick change booths. These all open up, so it does become a whole little village.
Every cast member, he probably already told you this, has a closet here.
Lauren likes to think that we help the performer not only do their comedy, but also figure out their style. In these closets are sort of what I'll call the general outfits that we could use whenever we need them to be specific things. In Bowen's particular, we have a couple suits that fit him. We have some dress shirts. We have slacks. Mikey, you can see sort of a little better. He has khakis he wears. He has jeans. He has his political shirts. And then if you can see down here too, you have character boxes. You can definitely see that this is Sarah's closet. I mean, it's a beautiful assortment of color. It's easy to shop for her because you see things and you're like, oh my God, Sarah would love that. But at the same time, it just then becomes, oh my God, Sarah will love that. Sarah will love that. And then we have a closet of Sarah will love that and can wear it once.
Beyond quick changes, with live TV comes an unpredictability that is unique to SNL. But even after more than 30 seasons, not even Tom can predict which characters will become an overnight cultural phenomenon.
The whole idea of recurring characters and how they come to be.
Domingo is in the past.
Kelsey, I'm here.
You never know. You truly never know when you start on Wednesday, when you read the sketch, if something's going to hit, so to speak. And therefore, after it hits, you need multiple garments again and again. The Domingo sketch, the writers had an idea for the initial sketch that it should be sort of autumnal and velvet for the bridesmaids. These two dresses were part of the Marcelo Domingo sketch. That first one over on the velvet was the Ariana's. In fact, you can see it right here. She's right there. And then for the 50th, when we did it actually on the show, We wanted to do a slightly different version, echoing that from a color standpoint, but have it be more springtime and have it be a floral. And then for Marcelo, we knew that it needed to be a black shirt and a gold chain and a soul patch. We found this really great suit from stock that we had here. Monday morning happens, and then he realized, oh, okay, so people like that. And then all of a sudden, Funko dolls were talked about getting made, and did we have the license to the dress, and do we have the license for this? And it snowballed into a very big pop cultural moment.
So I'm just gonna come out and say it. They should let me do the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Okay.
Weekend Update has become a interesting challenge. It tends to be much more influenced by a current event or something that's happening. This was the Miss Eggy update. We ended up having to dye all of the under thing because we could only find white.
My type A ass knew that the white of that garment was not matching the jacket, but I was like, yeah, I have to let some things go. Tom came to me and was like, we're gonna be painting this. And I was like, I didn't even ask. I was gonna leave it alone. Yeah. And like, they care about the details.
It was between dress and hair. There were, I think, 6 people. There's an Instagram photo of it where literally they were all in a room and you can see them. They all had different brushes and they all were painting. Each one took a different part of it.
Can I say where the purse is from? Because I got so many comments asking where the purse is from. You too can own this purse, this Miss Eggy purse. It's from Zara. For the look, it was sort of a nod to like that 90s Queens of Comedy, Def Comedy Jam kind of performer. Having the right clothes on, I kid you not, makes all the difference. Down to like, I was wearing heels in that costume and I didn't need to. I feel like the performance often is in the shoes. I feel like an acting teacher taught me that.
Well, well, for an actor, it's how you interface with the floor.
Yeah,
like it's literally you start at the floor and how you stand, it affects how you stand. A lot of comedy relies on the visual, and sometimes you want the joke to be the appearance, and sometimes you want the joke to be the words. There are certain writers who understand that the joke is the costume.
Here to explain his side of the story is the iceberg that sank the Titanic.
Hi, Colin. Hi.
This is the Bowen Titanic iceberg costume. This is the hat. It was sculpted with a carving knife. Kate is an artist who works here, and so we literally gave her a square of foam, and she just started like using the electric knife and just hacking. And the hard part was just ultimately trying to figure out how it would stand Bowen's head.
Celebrations for the 50th season meant appearances from beloved characters, allowing Tom and his team the chance to revisit, revive, and at times restore classic SNL costumes.
With the 50th coming, we knew it was going to be really important to sort of make sure we did have probably the top 60 costumes. There were a few costumes that I knew existed and had an idea that they were somewhere and they were in someone's house. There were certain things that we needed to recreate. The Cowbell sweater, unfortunately, had a few moth holes in it.
And Gene.
Yeah.
Really explore the studio space this time.
You got it, Bruce.
This is the remaking of the Cowbell sweater. We just haven't had time to put the leather trim nor the grommets on it, but this is the new version with no moth holes in it. Will is someone who is unafraid of his body. Between dress and hair, we fixed his sweater to make it even smaller. He felt that maybe the joke would play faster and better if we shortened it a couple inches and made it a couple inches tighter. The other instance that he did, which was the show after 9/11.
This quarter, we're gonna focus on earnings.
Hey, sorry I'm late, gang. Traffic on the...
We didn't make it that small. Right before he went out for air, he tucked it all up under his regular underwear. So when he walked out, that was the first time everyone had seen it.
Look, I'm sorry if I offended anyone. I mean, you two all know that I'm way proud to be an American.
This is the original church lady outfit, the real one.
Let's just settle down. All right, hello, I'm the church lady, and this is Church Jack.
It goes back to like color theory and stuff. The blue and the red are combining to make it purple. But to me, it's red and blue. We see it generally like this when we fit it, and then all of a sudden on Saturday, we see it completely differently because it's on TV under different lights on the set. This is one of the original Lawrence Welk / Dooneese dresses. 50th anniversary of the Lawrence Welk show.
And I'm Dooneese.
It was sort of like the culmination of taking everything we've always done and putting it into this. And, you know, I think they turned out really good. They all had to have this long cuff so that her hand is here and her little hand comes out like that. For Radio City, in the Lonely Islands part, my job was to design some cupcakes.
I love a cupcake like McAdams loves coffee!
It's always a thing of like, well, where does the head pop out and how to do the head and what is the thing and do they have to dance? We ultimately knew that they needed to have their hands exposed, so this is what this was for. This is the facial part, so their head holds the entire thing up this way. We found this incredible fabric here that looks like the cupcake tin. You know, sometimes things just fall into place. This year, with it being the 50th, I think everybody entered the season understanding that it was going to be unlike anything that ever existed in their lives. And we have a lot of people who have been here over 25 years. I think there's maybe one or two people who have been here 50 years. And that's the sort of magic that sort of happens here. You know, this is a place which a lot of people find home-like. It is true. This place is magic.
It is. And that is a word I feel like I throw around a lot concerning SNL and the things that come together and how they come together, but I'm in awe.
During that week of the 50th, there were moments that I had to remind the people I worked with. And also a reminder to myself was that this was never happening again. And so to stop and take that moment in was super important. And there's no show like this. After 50 years, you think you've been here, you think the show would be set, and yet it's not. And it keeps changing. And that's the thing, it's ever forward moving. Everyone here is committed to making the best show possible.
Come here. He loves them.
You're supposed to have 4 hugs a day now, I read.
How many have you had today?
That's my first one.
First one,
Say,
okay. We gotta
get
get you 3 more. I'll be the other 3.